Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com, and I'm a libertarian. And basically what I want to do this video is just a video on what is libertarianism. What is this thing that everyone's been talking about, especially since 2008. The word libertarian has become more and more of a word that people talk about. So what does it mean? So in a nutshell, if you want to put it in real simple terms, it just means that the way we look at the world is, when it comes to your stuff, it's your stuff. I shouldn't take it. And when it comes to your life, it's your life. I shouldn't try to control it, take it, etc. We just want you to enjoy your stuff in your life, okay? And not mess with my stuff in my life, okay? You enjoy yours, I enjoy mine. It's a live and let live kind of philosophy. But there are really, I like to say, 7 principles that I think outline or touch upon what most libertarians believe. There's all sorts of diversity among libertarians on different issues, on how certain principles are applied. So when I say this is how I define libertarianism, don't treat it as the end-all, be-all definition, but a definition that should help you have a clearer idea on what libertarianism is. So the first principle would be self-ownership. Okay, and that's the idea that you own yourself. And you own your life, you own your body, you own the fruits of your labor. So it's yours. You own yourself. Now, if you own yourself, then you have a say in what people do, what you do with your body and your life. So that means I don't have a say in what you do with your body and your life. So it would not be proper for me to initiate force to make you do what I want with your body, your life, your property. That's the second principle, the non-aggression principle. So it's not that you don't ever use force. Sometimes you need force to defend yourself. Okay, if someone threatens me with violence or someone initiates violence against me, it is more than proper for me to use violence in retaliation to defend myself from that threat or from that initiation of violence. But if Bob's over there just sitting around minding his own business, it would not be proper for me to take a rock and bash him over the head. That would not be cool. So the non-aggression principle just means you cannot initiate aggression. It doesn't mean you can't ever use force, because aggression implies that you are the aggressor, that you're the person initiating force. Non-aggression. Okay, so basically, again, as a libertarian, I own myself, and because of that, you can't or you shouldn't aggress on me. And then 3, property rights. So the idea is that people own things, okay, and that everything should have someone who has a claim on it. And this is for a very practical reason. It's because when you own something, you're more likely to take care of it. It also helps us understand disputes, because at the end of the day, there isn't infinite amounts of stuff. Okay, there isn't enough infinite amounts of food. There isn't an infinite amount of video games. There isn't an infinite. There's scarcity. So we have to have a way of figuring out who owns what, who has rights to what, who's responsible for what. And that's why property rights are important. But more importantly, property rights not only tell us who owns it and who has the right to use and make choices about different things, but also tells us who's responsible for certain things. Okay? Let's say, a lot of people think there's things called publicly owned lands that everybody owns, but it's not really public. It's government-owned lands. Something goes on there, people don't sue everybody, they sue the government, because they own the land, they're responsible for what happens on it. In the same way, you're responsible for what goes on in your house. Okay, so you own a piece of property and someone slips and falls, you're responsible. But let's say you did have something that was truly public, owned by everyone, owned by no one. Well then, who do you sue when someone doesn't shovel? Or who shovels when there is snow? Because if I'm not the only person that owns it, if everybody else owns it too, why should I be the one who shovels? Why can't it be somebody else? Why are they not shoveling? And that's what happens. What happens is that no one kind of feels they're the one who's responsible for doing or taking care of maintaining this piece of property, and ends up not being maintained. So that's why property rights are important. It helps designate responsibility, and that means more people will actually take responsibility. Okay, so self-ownership, non-aggression, property rights, voluntarism, the whole idea that basically arrangements in society should be voluntary. Okay, so we can do whatever we want, but again, I have to choose to do that thing, and you have to choose to do it too if we do something together. And again, practical reasons. So, non-aggression, self-ownership, that's the kernel. But with voluntarism, the idea is, if I choose to be part of something, I'm only going to choose to be part of it as long as it's producing me value. So think about any relationship you've been in. I choose to be part of that relationship because it's producing me value. The minute it doesn't, I'll choose to stop being part of it. So when you are in a, let's say, a romantic relationship, you are constantly trying to please the person you're with, trying to make them happy, trying to make them smile, trying to remember the important things, because you want to produce enough value for them so that way they stay in the arrangement. Okay, so you have that incentive to be good. And that makes both of you better and makes the relationship stronger, because both of you are looking to produce value within that relationship. But when it's forced, or one person doesn't feel like they have a choice, then what happens, it leads to the other partner becoming more abusive over time, because they know they can be less nice, less good, produce less value, and you won't choose to leave. And that's how kind of abuse occurs. So involuntary arrangements lend to abuse. So you may think that two people entering a particular arrangement might be better off for everybody, but by forcing that arrangement, you've made that arrangement less possible in actually accomplishing that value, because you've made it more apt for abuse. So we can think of different ways that people can coordinate with each other that will make the world better, but forcing it doesn't work. Because once you convince people that they should voluntarily do it, then they have an incentive to produce value. That's why voluntarism is important. On top of the fact that you shouldn't aggress on others and force others to do things. Okay, so again, self-ownership, non-aggression, property rights, voluntarism, free exchange. We should be able to freely exchange. That's the basis of how we allocate resources. So again, we have property rights so that way we know who owns what and who's responsible for what, but there's still things that I may want. So I should be allowed to freely exchange with others for the things that I want more, and give up the things that I want less. And no one should tell me that I can't exchange with others voluntarily. That allows resources to kind of move towards who values them the most. And that's how we as a society figure out who should get what, by exchanging things. There's no way to magically know how much everybody wants, or what everybody wants and how much they want and all this stuff. So that's why you can't have a centrally managed economy. It's just, there's just so many different variables that it's hard. But everybody being able to exchange with each other, they're exchanging that information. I'm saying, I want that more, I want this less, you want it more than I do, so let's exchange it. And now those things have moved to parties who want it more. And over time, everything just kind of moves to people who want it more. That's a good thing. Okay, free exchange. Individualism, the fact that we should treat everybody as them. Okay? Yes, I'm Puerto Rican. Yes, I'm male. Yes, I'm Guatemalan. Yes, I am all sorts of things. I'm a geek. I'm a hipster. I'm a tech geek. I'm a lot of things, but none of those things should mean that you should assume you know who I am. That I should not have to earn your respect from the get-go. Okay, if we all treat each other as individuals, but it also means more under the law. That to the extent that a government exists or a state exists, they shouldn't be saying, well, this group of people gets oppressed, this group of people gets privileged. It should just be, okay, everyone is treated as an individual in the law is applied sort of uniformly, etc. All these other principles apply to everybody uniformly, regardless of all these other arbitrary facts. And our last one is going to be decentralization, the idea that you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, okay, especially when it comes to governance. Because when you have one big central government doing a little bit of everything, the politics of one thing mixes the politics of another thing. Because you don't elect a person for healthcare, no, you elect one politician to work in healthcare, education, whatnot. So the problem is, you end up getting really watered down policies because everyone's compromising in this balance of all these different issues. So you end up getting the worst of all worlds. 2, when one institution does everything for you, that institution falls apart, everybody loses everything. While if you had to decentralize lots of institutions, families, businesses, charities, local governments, local community boards, etc., putting together all these different things that people need in their day-to-day life, then you will not have to worry about it. One institution falls, one family falls apart, not everyone's affected. One charity falls apart, not everybody's affected. There will still be people who are affected, but a lot less, and it'll be a lot more constrained than if you just have one organization provide everything for everyone, and then when that institution fails, you learn something. When a charity falls, you see what they did wrong, and you make sure not to make those same mistakes. So it allows you to learn from smaller events instead of having just large events and not learning at all in between, because there's only one institution. There's nothing to kind of compare and learn from. So those are 7 principles that I think give you a good idea of how libertarians think across the board on several issues. Now, does every libertarian follow exactly what I said on everything I've said in the video? No. But there's plenty more you can learn about libertarianism over there at Libertarian101.com. There's also, I recommend learning a lot about economics by going to LearnEconomicsNow.com. And you can check out all my podcasts where I talk about all sorts of different issues. Just search Alex Merced on Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's all sorts of different ways to get involved and learn more. So just go to alexmerced.com. Also check out libertarianwingmedia.com, and you'll find all sorts of cool information, and you can further explore libertarianism and develop your own relationship with the ideas of libertarianism. There's no such thing as a perfect libertarian. Libertarian is just a way of looking at the world, and it doesn't necessarily always apply to every situation uniformly. There are a lot of room for all sorts of diversity of opinion. There's people, I've met libertarians who have opinions that I'm not so fond of, and I've met libertarians who have opinions that I've never thought of before, and I'm like, I'll start thinking like that. But these principles sort of unite those who follow the label libertarian, and hopefully this gives you a better idea. Thank you very much. Check out for more videos coming from me this year, and subscribe to my podcast. A lot of them are weekly, so you can get new content every week. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy. Thank you for enjoying a video by Alex Merced, bringing you principled, thoughtful, and accessible commentary on today's issues. Show your support by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/AlexMerced. There are special benefits depending on the level of your monthly gift. Find great deals on web hosting, podcast hosting, and more over there at libertydeal.info. Also check out Alex Merced's recommended reading list at books.alexmerced.com, and while you're there, pick up some other great stuff at amazon.com. For other options for support, such as one-time PayPal donations and Bitcoin donations, go to support.alexmerced.com. Make sure to follow Alex Merced on these other social media platforms.